This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, Joe Costello here, right in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. And many of you know that I have spent a lot of time in the drag racing world, but I live in South Florida and my home track is Homestead-Miami Speedway, and NASCAR is coming to town this weekend, Sunday, the Dixie Vodka 400. I'm also the track announcer at Homestead-Miami Speedway for their Fast Lane Friday drag races, and I have been to and been in support of and involved in just about every single NASCAR Cup Series race since the very beginning. And so, of course, when NASCAR comes to town, we have got to cover it. And we are going to hear from the president of Homestead-Miami Speedway, Mr. Al Garcia, who was there from day one. In fact, before there was a day one, on this quick hit on WFO Radio's Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter channel, etc., and so on. We do want to name check all of our sponsors, let you know the people who make it possible. Talking about Holly Performance this week, samtech.edu, Total Seal Piston Rings, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, and Marvin Rodak, coffeeandgrills.com. Really appreciate these companies supporting WFO Radio, doing a great job. Tomorrow, we'll have Greg Anderson, the four-time Pro Stock World Champion, Caleb Cox on the show as well. And then on Friday, our happy hour show will be Dom Lagana and some all-stars to hang out and have happy hour. But before we go any further, let's bring him on, El Presidente of Homestead-Miami Speedway, Mr. Al Garcia. Al, welcome. How are you?
Great, Joe. Hey, thank you for having me. It's good to see you. I know you've been a long-time supporter. You get it. You're a motorsports guy, and it's great to speak to you.
It's great to speak with you as president. You know, we exchanged some text messages and emails when you got the position, but in my opinion, there wasn't a better person to run the show, to be at the helm of Homestead-Miami Speedway in a new era. Since you were there prior to day one, let's talk about that a little bit, because you have been involved with Miami Motorsports since the Grand Prix of Miami, the word go, and now to be able to shepherd this into the 25th anniversary has got to be pretty special.
Yeah, you know, Joe, it's a privilege. It's an honor. You're right. It's a lifelong endeavor for me. We were involved on the participant side of motorsports when I was a kid, a teenager. And then we couldn't make a living pushing the pedal or turning the wheels. So I was fortunate enough to join Ralph Sanchez's team and became a promoter. So we started, I started working for Ralph in the second Grand Prix of Miami back in 1984. And we did that until we opened Homestead-Miami Speedway in the fall of 1995. So literally started as a laborer, as a early 20s gearhead kind of person, just happy to be at the races without having to buy a ticket. And it's become a passion, a career. And obviously it's evolved and things change, and it's a big responsibility, but I feel very lucky to be able to come to work here at Homestead-Miami Speedway each and every day.
And we're lucky to have this great facility that has been a destination for so many over the last 25 years. Of course, the season finale, that is not the case this year, but boy, it has just been turned upside down this year in that we're dealing with the COVID situation. And this weekend's race had been rescheduled initially with no fans. You guys just made a special announcement that we are going to be the tip of the spear, if you will, for allowing fans at the track, in that you're going to have 1,000 service members come out and watch the race. I think that is a perfect tribute and thank you to what they do. And also, you know, responsible people out there starting off watching a little NASCAR.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, you know, you spent 30 years and I know you're a lifelong motorsports person and you think you've seen it all. But now here comes COVID, right? And I'm really excited. We, you know, as you know, Joe, we broke ground here 1 year to the day after Hurricane Andrew devastated South Florida, particularly Homestead and the South Dade area. And on August 24th of 1993, we broke ground and we opened in 95, and it was the first major development in the south side of the county in Homestead since the hurricane devastated it. And we feel that we created economic opportunity, we created jobs, in an area that was very depressed and about half of the residents moved away versus rebuilding. We built something here. We planted a flag in the ground. And since then, you've seen the result. Homestead is growing. It's a vibrant community. And we're very proud of that. Well, here we go again, that we will be the first major league sport in the U.S. to have a live audience since the pandemic hit. So once again, we have an honor, but a great responsibility in helping to kind of recover, and we've got to do it right. We don't want to make a misstep and have a setback as a result of our activities here. So as such, we have a very comprehensive plan to make sure that we protect everybody that arrives here at the facility, from the drivers, the crews, the media, and ultimately the members of the military and their families. And we feel really good about it. And we picked this group because they're more disciplined. They get checked on a daily basis when they go onto a base. So we know that they're not bringing anything with them. And they are also a little bit more responsible, or their behavior is a little bit better suited to respecting the social distancing protocols and all the things that we're going to ask them to do to make sure that we maintain a safe environment for everybody that's here at the races.
And I totally agree. Active duty. These guys are service members. They're even off the clock, they're on the clock. And so it makes perfect sense they would be responsible and take care. That having been said, though, you've been cultivating with the previous presidents, who we've all had great relationships with here on WFO radio, the fan base that comes to this track, both locally and beyond, even, in the Caribbean, et cetera. There are people who fly in for this race, and it's disappointing for them. And you had to send out a letter, and you sent out a very, heartfelt communication to those folks, like, hey, this is the deal. This is what we've got to do. But Homestead-Miami Speedway will be here for you in the future.
Yeah, we're already making plans for 2021. I don't have an exact date to announce quite yet, but we will be racing the Cup Series here in 21. I'm really excited. We're gonna have 4 races in 2 days, with an Xfinity race midday Saturday and a truck race Saturday evening, and then another Xfinity race at noon on Sunday, and then the Dixie Vodka 400 for the Cup Series rolls off around 3:30 p.m. on Sunday. And Joe, you can relate to this, that when you have a major league sport, and you see it over and over again in stick and ball sports, where they come down to the championship game of the Final Four, all of a sudden there's so much pressure, there's so much at stake that people kind of are a little wound tight, right? So
yes,
oftentimes in basketball, till the second half, they don't get in their groove. In the Super Bowl, sometimes the game is not as competitive as some of the games leading up to it, because there's so much pressure, so much on the line. Nobody wants to make a mistake. And so, that happened here as well, where in the championship races we've hosted over the last number of years, teams were very conservative on setup and on strategy because they didn't want to blow it, right? So now that we're a mid-season race, and I expect them to take some more chances. They know if they win here, they get a spot in the playoffs. And as competitive as our track is, with at least 3 grooves, if not 4,
yes,
I'm really excited to see when these guys just let it rip and take a big swing at it. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how 40 drivers really digging for a win. In the past, we've also had the situation where there's been 4 drivers eligible for the championship, and the other guys don't really want to mess it up, right? You'd be a fool if you wanted to take out one of the contenders. So you got to kind of mind yourself. Now it's, gloves off, let's go. So I'm really excited to see what kind of action it produces.
Al, you're incredible. You're a salesman to the core, because I've been bummed, honestly, that we don't have the season finale. And you just made me very excited about all the different aspects of what we're going to see this weekend. We know that our track surface is one of the best. You guys put a lot into that, right? Redoing the corners twice, putting in lights, etc. And so the race is going to be great. And the fact that there's 4 races in 2 days, people will be glued to their televisions watching NASCAR from Homestead-Miami Speedway. What have you thought of this schedule, and maybe things to be learned for the future in the post-COVID world? I'm loving Wednesday night NASCAR. Midweek NASCAR, Sunday, Wednesday. You can keep up with it so easy. Everything that happens is so fresh in your mind. Do you think, and I'm not putting you on the spot, or maybe I am, just like, what do you think about that as something that could continue to exist beyond this crisis period?
Well, Joe, NASCAR's very progressive. You've seen the changes from the antiquated point system to the chase system, and they kept tweaking it. Now this new car and the next gen car is even more exciting. That's coming, and when that happens, I think there's going to be less disparity between the front runners and the guys in the back. So I think it's going to tighten up the field. But NASCAR's constantly listening to the fans and evaluating. And to your point, with this shuffling of the deck, so to speak, it's given us a chance to try some things. They've been talking about midweek races, or perhaps even shortening the length of certain races, for a while now. When and how the right place to try it was something that was being debated and hotly contested. But now that COVID has happened, it's giving us the opportunity, the impetus to try midweek races, to try different race lengths. For example, some of the Xfinity races are 250, not 300 miles. So I think that it makes it, for, in some cases, a better TV package, right? It's exciting, and you can't ride around for the first half of the race. You got to go because you have less laps to get it done. And I do think, and I agree with you, that midweek races are something that's very, very intriguing, and I like it. We're always doing research and the fan sentiment and different things like this. But I do think that that's something that the broadcast partner and the fans are going to really embrace. And I wouldn't be surprised if going forward there's more of it. That's just my personal. That's off the record.
Well, of course, off the record, totally off the record, and I appreciate that as well. And Wednesday is perfect day, and I like the shorter races too. Something I've been advocating for, just because that's what's happened to our attention spans in the world. The attention span has gotten shorter, and just tightening them up a little bit. So very challenging times, but really driving hard through it. How's the community been? I know you're very dialed in with local government leadership there. I know that they really appreciate the Speedway and what it does, but no one has a manual for how to deal with this. What has that been like?
Painstaking. I applaud them because they, early on when I approached them and expressed a desire to have a limited number of fans here, of guests at the track, they were skeptical, and they said, okay, well, let's talk about it. But these are the conditions, and this is a challenge. And we've consulted with the state, the county and city authorities, the CDC, Department of Health at the statewide level, at the county level, at the city level. And there's always another question and always another protocol. And bureaucrats think outside the box. They really are motivated to make this happen. For example, the opening of the beaches was supposed to take place on June 1st. They pushed it back because they weren't comfortable with the plan. So we've had many revisions to our protocols that we're going to deploy and enforce here at the track. And it's been a very collaborative effort. And I'm really proud of our elected officials because they've given me their time, even when there's other stuff going on. And they've been very, very diligent, and they've talked to our experts and put us in touch with their experts. So we've run the gamut of the different agencies and different resources that we've spoken to make sure that we do it properly, because obviously our sport, our industry is really looking closely so that we can then crack the door open for more fans or better situations at the racetrack, but other sports as well. I know that the sporting world in general is going to be looking at us because we're the first people to have a live audience since early March. So
absolutely,
big responsibility and a lot of work, but I feel very comfortable, and I'm very proud of our elected officials and our partners that have helped us get there.
Now, South Florida being populous, diverse, a lot of in, a lot of out, a lot going on. If we can do it right, that's a signal to the rest of the country. Fastlane Friday. This is off topic, obviously, but there's a lot of people that are looking forward to that. But that's a different thing, right? A local race, maybe not on your radar at the second because you're looking at a cup race this weekend. But while I've got you, is that something we might see this year? Have you guys made any decisions? Have you thought about that, for the drag racing crowd?
We have thought about it. We have thought about it, and I would expect to be able to do drag racing here, Fastlane Friday, sometime this year. I'm not going to commit to date. We're still working through it. The folks that I report to and talk to and work with want to see how this goes. Once we have a template, so to speak, that yes, we prove to everybody that we can do it safely and we can do it properly, and we have the resources to screen all of our guests, to screen all of our competitors, and to enforce the social distancing rules and the masks and et cetera, then we will take the next step and start trying to crack the door open for track rental events, not just Fastlane Friday, which is near and dear to my heart. And the next one I'm looking at the calendar was supposed to be on June 19th. That won't happen, but perhaps by August or September, we'll be back at it in the fall. And we're working hard towards that. Maybe limited number of competitors, maybe a limited number of spectators, but crawl, walk, run. We'll ease into it, but we need to get the drag racing community back out to Homestead-Miami Speedway. It's very important to us, and I think it works very well.
They've been loving it. I've been loving being part of it, and I get tons of feedback. It's amazing how much feedback I get for that. It's an occasional thing, a couple times a month, but drag racing with all the muscle cars, and it's an accessible, easy hurdle motorsport to get in and make some runs. It's a whole lot of fun. Any final thoughts, Al? You want to leave our audience with any specific thoughts as we get ready for a weekend of NASCAR here in South Florida? People will be watching, obviously, from their homes, barbecuing, having their race parties, I'm sure. And knowing that it's coming from our community, not exactly what we wanted, but better than what we were going to get previously.
Well, Joe, the final thought I have is that I am humbled by the support and the unwavering interest in Homestead-Miami Speedway. We're celebrating our 25th year. So this is our 25-year anniversary. We opened in 1995. Now we're in 2020. And you've seen the progress. You've seen the progression, the commitment from our company to continue to make improvements and put money into this property. And that's their belief in our community, in our motorsports community in South Florida. We're not a traditional motorsports market, but it's growing, and there's a lot of passionate people as yourself, and it's a very, very viable, very, very healthy business. And we continue to grow, and we look forward to the next 25 years. So I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you and the motorsports community for supporting us and being with us. And we're really looking forward to a strong 2021 when we get these grandstands full for the next running of the Dixie Vodka 400.
And look who's checking in out there on the Facebook. Phil DeMont Mullen. Best of luck to Al and the entire team.
I sent DeMont Mullen a note about 2 weeks ago. I haven't spoken to him in quite a while, and I never heard back from you, Phil. So
he's dodging.
Reconnect, amigo.
He's dodging you. That's what it is. He's dodging you, Al. Now, Phil, definitely, he'll hit you up right away. Al, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Best of luck to you and the whole team. Put on a great show. It's such a special time. NASCAR Homestead. I know how hard. Phil is a perfect example. I feel like I worked as well, but you guys as the team to build what we have, whatever it is, to build it. It didn't happen easily. It was painstaking. It was hard work to grind it out, to convince a Miami Dolphin town. And by the way, the Fins are looking up here in the future, a Miami Dolphin town to appreciate and embrace NASCAR racing, part of the mainstreaming of the sport. And I think a great success story, and you guys are keeping it going. So thanks.
You know what?
Yes.
We're not going to be down for a while. We're going to work even harder, and we will rise. We will continue and exceed where we were and then go from there.
There you go. I love it. Al, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Thanks to you and Neil as well.
All right. Thank you.
There he goes. Al Garcia, the president of Homestead-Miami Speedway, with us here on WFO Radio. A quick hit mid-Wednesday, and it all came together. And if you are a WFO Radio listener, you know we have been giving away tickets to Homestead-Miami Speedway season finales for a long time, and putting fans from around the country down here where, we love it. We love it. Everybody loves where they're from. Let's just face it. You live there for a reason. Nobody stays someplace that they hate like poison. But I happen to be living in a place where a lot of people come to vacation, and it is very great, although very hot right now. And I think that is going to factor into the race in a big way. Typically, we run in November. Now we are running in June, and it is hot. And if you think the track is greasy and slick in November, it's going to be slicker and greasier here in June by a multiple, because it is just so hot, humid. Another thing, though, the air is not nearly as good. The air is bad. It's like you're walking through water in many ways. Humidity, water grains, something the drag racers can certainly understand. They're not going to make as much power. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of race we have. Also, We've got an Ignition show. It is in the archive where we talk about all of this. Ignition as we get ready. Martinsville is later on tonight, unless you're watching this tomorrow. And then it was last night and you missed it. But a lot of interesting things happening. A gentleman commenting, about all the things that are going on in addition to the racing in NASCAR in our society. And my attitude is I want to keep things as positive and uplifting as is possible, which is why we're going to have Greg Anderson tomorrow, 4 p.m. On Friday, we're going to have Dom Lagana. Dominic's going to be on. We're going to talk about the Nitro Ninja. We're going to have cocktails. We're going to have beverages. It's going to be great. Big thanks to our sponsors, talking about Holly Performance, Total Seal Piston Rings, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, samtech.edu, and Marvin Rodak with that coffee and hot sauce and spice rub. It is tremendous. I want to remind everybody that if you go to nitrofishracing.com, you can get 20% off their t-shirts, including the WFO radio t-shirt. WFO 20 is the promo code, whether it be the Jason Line End of the Line tour, whether it be Erica Ender's 3-time champion shirt, whether it be our WFO radio t-shirt. Go to Nitrofish Racing and get 20% off with the promo code WFO 20. I spent all morning sending out WFO stickers for free to the address on your screen, P.O. Box 848353. And I received something in the mail too. Get this. If you've been watching our shows, you know that last week on Thursday, we had Steve Johnson on the show. And Steve gave us a huge surprise. His crew member, Jock, who has been battling COVID-19 and was on a ventilator for a long time, has lost his mom. His mom passed. Steve came on the show to tell us the update that Jock was doing better and actually brought us this show into the hotel room, into the hospital room. Shows you where my head's at, into the hospital room, and we saw Jock. Jock was out there, and Steve told us about Jock Strong, where you can go and order a t-shirt to support Jock, and obviously some of the proceeds going to go to help COVID, help the first responders, but really it's going to Jock to help him. Look what I got in the mail today, that quick. I ordered it Thursday, right during the show, and the shirt has arrived. And I am just thrilled. Got mine. Hopefully you'll get yours. And just honored and thrilled that I can rock the colors of Jock out there as soon as is possible. Simple as that. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Not going to make this one a real long one. We'll be back 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow with Greg Anderson and Caleb Cox, who works for Snap-on Tools Racing, Cruise Pentagon Racing, who's into martial arts, and he's a driver, and he's like a Renaissance man, except a very young guy. We're going to talk about Bruce Lee, because we've both been watching the 30 for 30 on Bruce Be Like Water, which has been tremendous. Bruce Lee, obviously Caleb in martial arts, Greg Anderson, I don't know. I'm going to ask him about Bruce as well. If you're looking for something else to watch and view, I know NHRA.com has got a stream going on right now. If you're in our podcast archive, Ignition was fantastic. The Alan Reinhardt show was tremendous. A lot of great stuff going on. And those Friday Cocktails Happy Hour shows, Gary Selzy in the archive, Ron Tobler in the archive, Wine Night. We have had a really good time. I expect that to happen on Friday as well at 4 o'clock, and we will see you there. Big thanks to Al Garcia from Homestead-Miami Speedway and the folks at Homestead for putting this together on the fly race week here in South Florida. But we got a race tonight, Wednesday night, Martinsville. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. A little short track racing ongoing. And all that is kind of attached with it. Want to remind you, subscribe to the podcast. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast. Write us a review. That would be great. Appreciate that. And obviously, follow on all the social media. At WFO Joe, that's me on Twitter and Instagram. The show, you can definitely get us everywhere. And the YouTube channel. It's getting ready for a revamp. All the videos are on there. The WFO Radio app has all of our videos on there in the video section. But we're getting ready for a revamp. Click the bell and subscribe. Click the bell. Big thanks to Steve Brenwald for doing our art. Been sending out a lot of WFO Radio masks. The masks are almost gone. And follow me on social this weekend. I'll be bracket racing in Palm Beach. I got the GTO shined up. and ready to go. And we'll see what happens. Again, WFO Radio stickers, P.O. Box 848-353, Pembroke Pines, Florida. And I will load up your self-addressed stamped envelope, and we will get you some WFO Radio stickers. Big thanks to Al Garcia, Neil Gulkus, and the folks at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And that's going to do it. We will see you next time right here on WFO Radio.